happens when the studio that practically invented modern fairy tale cinema stakes its legacy on one bright new star, only to watch her torch the very story she was hired to save? That's the riddle haunting Disney's glass-walled Burbank stronghold tonight. Rachel Zegler was meant to usher Snow White, the film that built the Mouse House, into a bold, inclusive era. Instead, the remake coughed up barely $43 million on opening weekend against a production bill that ballooned well past $250 million once reshoots and marketing piled in. For a company famed for precision brand building, the faceplant felt seismic. Hollywood gossip veterans swear they heard the collective gasp from Wall Street to Anaheim. The once-invincible Disney brand had delivered what insiders now call the billion-dollar belly flop. And the real shock? Every warning sign flashed long before the first ticket printed. If only anyone at the castle had bothered to look. From the moment Disney crowned Rachel Zegler their new princess, the industry treated the casting like a box office prophecy. Fresh off Spielberg's West Side Story, Zegler exuded both critical acclaim and TikTok magnetism. A combo imagined would unlock Gen Z wallets and freshen Disney's aging image. Private memos even compared her breakout to Emma Watson's Belle effect, predicting merchandise lines and theme park parades by year's end. Yet hidden beneath press release glitter was a brutal truth. Disney had no backup plan if its chosen Cinderella didn't charm the kingdom. With production already set, executives quietly tethered $200 million and the studio's century-old crown jewel to Zegler's public persona, praying her unfiltered authenticity would translate into worldwide love. That authenticity, however, soon veered off script, spinning scheduled junkets into viral minefields. Like a runaway pumpkin coach, each new quote threatened the entire fairy tale facade, and the kingdom's accountants could only grit their teeth as the meters kept running. But the moment Zegler opened her mouth in interview, everything started unraveling. The first sparks flew when Zegler dismissed the original prince as a creepy stalker, called 1930s romance kinda weird, and proclaimed she didn't need the business of viewers who disagreed. Those clips shot across X, YouTube, and TikTok faster than any Disney ad buy, sliced into meme-sized bursts with titles like Snowshade and Princess Gone Rogue. The more Disney's PR team urged caution, the more each interview seemed headline-crafted. Snow White star says true love is dead. Reaction channels pounced, splicing Zegler's comments with scenes from the 1937 classic while soundtracking them with record scratches and laughing emojis. By week's end, the narrative had flipped. The actress looked as if she despised the story she was hired to tell, and longtime fans felt personally jabbed. Inside Disney's vaulted conference rooms, crisis management decks mushroomed as executives realized they weren't just selling a movie, they were putting out a wildfire that one handheld mic had sparked. And just when you thought it couldn't get worse, South Park stepped in. Enter South Park, brandishing satire like a wrecking ball. In a single savage episode, Cartman transformed into a diversity box ticking heroine while a cartoon Kathleen Kennedy barked, "Make it more lame!" The show distilled months of internet frustration into 90 merciless seconds. Viewers weren't merely laughing, they were sharing, pausing, rewinding, then posting duetting entire excerpts with captions like, "SP said what we were all thinking." Disney's board, known for shrugging off online noise, couldn't ignore this one. Overnight, search spikes for Snow White controversy rivaled those for new Marvel trailers. Every share turbocharged the narrative that Disney had become parody of itself, an irony no amount of marketing dollars could reverse. By the time the clip crossed 50 million views, even casual audiences linked Zegler's real interview quotes with South Park's cartoon chaos, cementing the idea that the remake was less a movie and more a lecture disguised in glitter. But South Park wasn't the only one sharpening the knives. If animated satire stung, the next wave felt like salt in an open wound. The Simpsons launched its own jab, Snow Woke, the reimagining, with a preachy, selfie-obsessed princess who believes fairy tales are beneath her. Industry tongues wagged harder when whispers spread that Jack Black confronted Zegler backstage at a private event, reportedly telling her the movie had no soul and urging her to find the heart or drop the crown. Late-night monologues, usually tiptoeing around Disney, piled on. One host quipped, "Even the magic mirror passed on this script." For executives who pride themselves on controlling narrative, The sensation of peers roasting their prized release on primetime TV was a nightmare come to life. Former Disney animators tweeted cryptic "told you so" gifs, and entertainment lawyers hinted at strained renegotiations on still-secret live-action remakes. Suddenly, Disney wasn't steering the cultural conversation. It was the piñata dangling under Hollywood's brightest spotlight. Behind the scenes, things were spiraling, and Disney knew it. While the spotlight scorched, a quieter catastrophe brewed in editing bays. Peter Dinklage's viral 2022 critique, calling The Seven Dwarfs backward, had pushed Disney to scrap its practical cast and pivot to CGI forest companions. Reshoot bills soared past $70 million as animators raced to craft creatures neither dwarf nor human, hoping to dodge offense without confusing audiences. Test screenings proved otherwise. Feedback cards labeled the new characters random, generic, and creepy like bargain bin Smurfs. Meanwhile, little person actors spoke out, noting 7 career-defining roles had vanished overnight, a controversy Disney's inclusivity narrative couldn't reconcile. Each redesign demanded new merchandise molds, and leaked concept art of a lanky, rainbow-colored ensemble leaked onto Discord, where fans likened them to bootleg Fortnite skins. Internally, VFX supervisors reportedly worked 80-hour weeks under orders to make them cuter, but cuteness couldn't solve the story math. Every last-minute tweak pushed the budget north, leaving Wall Street analysts penciling red ink months before release day, and then came the cherry on top, the box office numbers. Nothing, however, matched the optics of March 25, 2025. Discount Tuesday usually lures families in droves, yet Zegler strolled into a regal megaplex with 5 friends and found the lobby humming like a library after hours. Hoping to salvage morale, they joined a TikTok trend. Ask the cashier for 2 tickets to the busiest show. The clip caught everything: the awkward pause, the echoing foyer, the look of polite pity from the ticket clerk. Within hours, Najark's empty, Snow White dominated feeds, morphing into a digital headcount of empty auditoriums. Influencers filmed entire rows of unclaimed recliners, turning them into comedic jump scares. Boo, still no one here! Finance podcasts dissected the numbers. A $250 million budget chasing a worldwide cume struggling to break $200 million. Analysts compared it to John Carter, except Snow White lacked the excuse of being obscure intellectual property. The image of Zegler's friend chanting "Zegler" into theater silence became the viral tombstone of the entire project. Some said this was just a bad movie, but others saw something much deeper. As receipts flatlined, theater chains quietly swapped Snow White showtimes for mid-budget horror flicks that were actually selling popcorn. Retailers slashed plush doll prices before Easter. One leaked photo showed rows of unsold princess dresses tagged "Buy one, get 2 free." Behind Disney's mirrored doors, 3 a.m., red folder meetings erupted, exploring layoffs after consecutive duds. Lightyear, Strange World, now Snow White. Stock watchers predicted Disney's first full-year theatrical loss since the early 1980s. Rival studios, noting the carnage, rewrote pending live-action remakes, stripping overt lectures, and doubling down on escapist charm. Internal whispers said even the famously risk-averse Parks division was re-evaluating planned tie-ins. No one wanted to build a $150 million ride for a film families seemingly wished into the cornfield. The once-invincible Disney brand had become a case study in how quickly goodwill evaporates when audiences feel talked down to rather than welcomed in. In the final tally, Snow White's implosion wasn't rooted in a single casting, a single quote, or a single cartoon roast. It was the collision of all 3 inside a studio that forgot the timeless rule of fairy tales: enchant first, preach later, if at all. By treating a treasured legend as a megaphone for moral lessons, Disney asked patrons to buy tickets to a scolding, and they answered by staying home. Somewhere beneath the pristine spotlights of Burbank Boulevard, executives now confront an uncomfortable reflection shimmering in a cracked magic mirror. The fairest story of them all is still the one that invites people to dream, without wagging a finger in the same breath. Whether Disney heeds that truth or doubles down on checkbox alchemy will define its next century. For now, audiences hold the crown, and they're reminding the kingdom, loudly, that magic dies the moment it feels like homework.